have average adult size hands. What gun do I buy?
Yeah, I mean, fitting the gun to your hand, I think there's two dimensions that we pay a lot of attention to and that a lot of people don't pay much attention to.
Tell me more.
All right, let's talk about the two dimensions that we really consider. First, as I hold the pistol in my hand, how much real estate do I have here for my support hand to get into? That's one thing we pay a lot of attention to. The other thing that matters a lot, in my view, is going to be the measurement from the back strap to the face of the trigger. Now, we pay a lot of attention to these two things, right? And I think most people are concerned with, can I reach the mag release?
Or the slide release without adjusting your grip.
Yeah, they want to reach all that stuff.
So it's like, oh, I have to move the gun in my hand a little bit before I can hit the magazine release. So like, that's not the gun for me.
I'll just tell you, I don't shoot a pistol. Like, I do not shoot one that I can dump the mag on. Not a CZ, Beretta, PDP, other platforms I shoot. I do shoot SIG 320s as well, SIG 226. Many guns that I shoot. In none of these cases can I reach the magazine release. And I sometimes cannot reach the slide stop with my dominant hand.
Yeah, and hitting the slide stop's another, like, I don't really care. It's a last thought.
Right, but it's like, to us, those things don't matter that much for a lot of reasons. Like, I'm just gonna flex my dominant hand and punch my thumb around. So I'll like move the gun in my hand in a sense to get to the controls. Yeah. That's not a big deal.
So doing something like this, when these modes where you just kind of like, you roll the gun a little bit and I have to change my grip, that's no big deal. That doesn't bother me at all.
But what we are hyper focused on are those two dimensions.
Yes.
So let's talk about them.
Yeah, let's talk about support hand, I think, first. So the problem is you need to actually have enough room to put your support hand. So when I grip the gun, if I have a grip that's something like this, when I grip the gun all the way around, my fingers are covering the panel. Then when I want to put my support hand on the gun, I kind of have nowhere to go. And I'm just grabbing a hold of my fingers. I'm not actually contacting the frame.
I'm going to say this. This is this is the most common fit issue that we see in classes.
Yes.
And these are highly motivated people showing up to courses. They know what they're in for. They pay a lot of money for their guns and probably a third show up in this kind of a situation.
Thin grips are really popular, and I don't think I like a single one of the thin grips options anymore. Just because for the most part on the guns that they're on, it makes the frame too thin. So instead, like on this gun, when I'm firing hands on the gun, I've got room on the grip panel that I can actually contact with my support hand. And that's the reason why we use the grip we do, and not some people like gripping up something like this. Like, I want to grip the frame as much as I can to give me traction. That way when the gun recoils, I have a better chance of the gun and my hands all staying together and recoiling as one, opposed to having it do something like this. Or worse yet, if I don't have enough room for my support hand and it can't do the work, the firing hand will just take over and do what the support hand's not doing. So then you end up having too much firing hand trying to stop the gun from recoiling just to make up for what your support hand's not contributing.
Yeah, I mean, and it's friction force is what holds the gun in place with your support hand, so more surface area is going to be better. Now, modern polymer pistols like this Glock, they're going to come with a set of back straps. And again, what we're looking for is that you have surface area here. So if you're holding the pistol and your fingers lay like this, bigger back strap, bigger back strap, bigger back strap, until you have surface area on the pistol, some real estate that your support hand can connect to the gun. This is very important. Now, let's talk about the old Joel Park special on these grips. So now once I have surface area, I need to make sure I can hold on to the gun. Now, these shadows, these are the tool for the job in a lot of respects for USPSA.
Yep.
But what you won't see on any of my guns is the factory grip panels. Those things are slicker than cat shit. It makes no sense to me that they even release the pistol and sell those with it.
You're quite the salesman.
Well, no, but what I am a salesman for is all these grip options. There's so many. I can't keep track of them all. So many different brands, so many different thicknesses, configurations, levels of traction on there. The advice I give to most people with the CZ pistols, hey, just go to a match. You're going to see, you can't like throw a rock without hitting a CZ shooter there. Just, ask them nice, like, hey, can I, finger bang your gun and take a look at the grips and all that. And you'll find something you like, be like, hey, what is that? Where'd you get the, what kind of grips are those? then you just go to the pro shop and order the correct grips, the ones that you like. You know, that's
So you can try before you buy.
Try before you buy. That's really the solution to the problem with the shadow pistols, especially. Like I run and experiment with all different kinds. Here we've got these are 13-ounce brass. These are 13 ounces, yeah?
I don't
Just
know.
for the grips.
The weight.
These brass palm swells. You play with these add a lot of weight to the gun. They change the balance of the gun. This comes in, I think, different variations of levels of tread on it, like how aggressively it's going to be biting into your hand. There's a ton of different options, and again, the grip panels, you change them and you fit the gun to you so you can actually work with it. On these polymer pistols, the Glocks that don't change grip panels, once you get the back strap set the way you want, well, in my case, I'm going to hand my gun to Joel and say, hey, use that pro grade heat gun, heat up the pistol, and get some skateboard tape on there.
These are just Talon grips.
So I can actually hold on to the thing.
$20, something like that. They work really well.
I don't need the explanation, Joel. What I know is I hand it to you and you hand me back a pistol that works.
This is a true story. Talk about my experience a little bit. I've shot the Walther PDPs quite a bit for a while. Really like them. I got to the point where, like, in the middle of the summer when it's hot out, my hands get sweaty. The guns were just slippery, and I had a tough time really hanging on to them. I'd actually put Pro Grip or Grip Enhancer directly on the frame to try to help. I try to wipe my hands off the towel, you know, use the Grip Enhancer, and it just, like, the gun still slipped around. So gripping the gun as hard as I could, I'd still feel the gun kind of moving around inside my grip a little bit. So I was looking to add traction to it. So one of the options is, this is silicone carbide, which is permanent. Otherwise, if you don't, you know, want to permanently possibly mess up your gun, something like these with the grip tape is a good route to go. And all it's doing is just giving you more to hang on to, make it easier to not have the gun slip in your hand.
Absolutely. Now, the other dimension that I mentioned is back strap to the face of the trigger. Now, this is going to be shooter dependent, but what I want from my gun, is that I grab the pistol and you'll see it right up the first joint of my finger. That's actually where I want to hold on to the trigger. All right, that's a little further forward than you might conventionally hear about. I think a lot of people try this, they get good results, but I want to be able to grab lots of trigger in my view, and it makes it easy to pull it straight, especially when I'm going fast. Now, for me, the way my hands are sized, the reach reduction kits on the Shadows is a game changer for me. It reduces this dimension, like the trigger sits further or closer to the backstrap of the pistol, so I can actually reach it and grab onto it the way I want to. When I'm shooting my Glocks, again, you can see I can get lots of trigger finger in there. Other models of pistols are going to be more of a problem. Like the Canic, just that dimension's longer. They don't fit me that well. I would need an aftermarket solution to make the pistol fit me. That's going to be the same deal with the Walther pistol. Maybe I can make this work, but I have to get all the way in here. I would want a little bit closer dimension for me with the Walther pistols. And again, you got to get it sized for you. If you're shooting a 2011, for example, you'd have long, medium, short triggers. It's not like one is better than the other. This is like getting the correct size of shoes to wear. Okay, it's like people show up to classes or they show up to matches or whatever, and it's like they're trying to run a marathon in the wrong size shoe. It's not going to work that well.
To elaborate a little bit on the trigger placement specifically, like with the Walthers with the factory shoe, it's too wide for me. It doesn't work very well. So if this is the trigger, I'll end up, like when my finger comes around trying to touch the face of the trigger, I'll contact it from the side before I could get around and touch the face of the trigger. So that caused a problem for me because I wasn't deactivating that tab for the safety.
Yeah.
So switching to these, the dynamic trigger, made it easier because the trigger itself, the shoe, is thinner. And then when I could get my finger around and in front of the trigger. That way, when I first made contact with the trigger, I was pushing from the front of the trigger, not from the side of it. That was like, as it sat, the factory triggers in the gun, they just didn't work that well for me. I had to kind of like shift my grip or be very careful because if I got a grip that was just off a little bit, I had a tough time reaching the trigger.
When I get my steel frames, will you fix them up for me good?
Absolutely not.
God damn it.
Okay, and then talking about, Ben, why you went with the short reach trigger? That would be because I'm guessing when you get your grip, otherwise, like you're using just the tip of your fingerprint?
I'm using a double action trigger with just the tip, and that's, you can imagine, I'm not trying to play just the tip. I'm trying to get balls deep in there, and it's not working for me.
Why did I even ask you?
You know it's going to be something crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, people will like push each other out of the way to come have you try their gun at matches. So it's a smart idea to try before you buy, because I mean, real talk, the grips are what, 80 to 100 bucks a piece, something like that.
Yeah.
So, like trying. So if I'm lucky enough to have a friend like Ben, I'll be like, Ben, why don't you bring all your guns over? I'll try all them, and then I'll just buy the one I like.
And not to go on a rant, but I'm going to go on a rant.
Oh boy.
They make a beautiful pistol, and they put those grips on like as a joke or something. Like they look cool, but they're just not shootable. That's actually one tell. You could look at somebody, if they're shooting the factory grips, like no grip tape or nothing on them, it's like, this person's
Like, oh, you must not practice.
Yeah, I don't think they understand what this is supposed to do, because I don't know how you're supposed to hang on to that thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, luckily, there's so many aftermarket solutions for the shadows, particularly, that this is an easy problem to solve. Just again, there's so many of these out there. Most people are proud. They're like, oh yeah, check out my gun. Oh, you wanna try my grips? Please, sir, come try my grips. People love that.
Yes.
So you're kind of helping them out too, you know.
This is true, and it saves you money. This is a
It does,
no-brainer.
yeah.
Boom.